What's up, and welcome to Nighttime at the Nerd Bar, episode 105.
We're still
Woo!
going. We are going. It is
Yes.
happening.
We are bringing you that Monday energy live. If you're joining us live, join us over in the live chat. And if you're watching later, no worries, comment down below.
Mm-hmm.
And introductions. Hello, I'm Carrie Lane.
And I'm Katie Cullen.
And we will be talking primarily about Delicious and Dungeon, a little bit about solo leveling, and we'll get into why just a little bit this time, as well as some Demon Slayer stuff, anime news, and more. So stick around for all of that.
Yes.
So first off, let's get into some things.
First off, let's tell them about our Twitter. We still call it Twitter.
Yes. And go check us out over on Twitter at NTATNB. So we share links there as well as photos of some of the stuff we talk about. So if you're like, oh, that sounds cool, and we're like, hey, the pictures are really great, that's where you go to check them out. Yes, and we still call it Twitter. So.
It works better.
It does. But you know what? On other search engines and things, it will say, it will still refer to it as Twitter. So,
or it'll be like X, formerly known as Twitter.
Yes.
Just that sort of. Anyway, we're not here to talk about nuking decades of branding. We're here to talk about nerdy stuff.
And let's look over the chat real quick. Giga Derek says, greetings from the void. I signed the lease. It's mine.
If you sign the lease, doesn't that mean you're renting?
That's true. I think there are leases where you're paying into it to own it.
Maybe. Apologies for actuallying your greeting.
I feel that's one of those that like it's a term that we generally say leasing to rent, but I do think it can be to buy.
Yeah.
We can tell how much experience we have with
buying homes.
Yeah.
The millennial experience.
Yes. Alrighty. So let's get into some other things we are excited about. So first up, we have news from Tokyopop. So
we've got it from Ablaze, actually. Tokyopop comes a little later.
Oh, yes, the other one.
Yes, Ablaze announces launch.
And well, hold on before you get there. Giga Derek says sign an apartment lease too.
Okay. Oh, hell yeah. Yeah. Yes, the subject line for this is a little weird, so I'm going to cut some words. Ablaze announces the launch of dark horror manga masterpiece Ganable, and that's Ganable with a G. Comics and graphic novel publisher Ablaze unleashes the dark horror of Ganable beginning this April. Ablaze is proud to offer Ganable in print and digitally to readers everywhere, with its Volume 1 trade paperback debut under the Ablaze manga imprint on April 9th. New volumes will be published quarterly. The manga series drew wide attention when it raised nearly $100,000 in a Kickstarter campaign last year. And fans can still get the exclusive hardcover editions through the Ganable Backer Kit Pledge store. So for those unfamiliar with Ganable, it's a 13-volume series that was originally published in Japan. Give me the plot summary. There we go. And some beautifully horror pictures there. I'm not sure if we can post these pictures on our Twitter without putting them under a filter because they are a touch gory, but the art is amazing. The story is Daigo Agawa is a resident police officer who has been recently assigned to the remote mountain village of Kuge. He is initially warmly welcomed. Happy Monday, everyone. By the villagers, but with the suspicious death of an old woman, he gradually becomes aware of the anomaly of the village and begins to suspect that the people in this village are eating people. So if you want a remote cannibal horror story with some frankly amazing artwork, if these two covers are anything to judge by, definitely check that out. That is dropping in April.
All right. And continuing on with our manga news, publisher Tokyopop delivers a comprehensive preview of more than a dozen new titles for the Q2 of 2024. So set for release as part of Tokyopop's Comics That Matter. It's a collection of award-winning slice of life drama, A Smart and Courageous Child. This will be followed by a comic preview for Far Cry Cull of the Herd, which will be debuting on March 4th for Free Comic Book Day. So mark your calendar.
Hey.
4th. So may the 4th be with you, and go
Mhm.
get your free comic books. And featuring memorable villains from Ubisoft's hit game franchise. And additional notable debuts include another Ubisoft tie-in with Watch Dogs Tokyo. And from Disney manga imprint comes Descendants Mao's Royal Challenge. So,
Oh, that'll be fun.
yes. And a couple other releases. We have Scarlet Secret, A Beast's Descent into Love. This reincarnated, cross-dressing princess won't be looking for a fiance. I just love when their titles are so long.
Yeah,
You're like, what is happening?
light novel titles are something else.
Yes, they're very entertaining. So there's a diverse catalog of shoujo,
Yes.
girls love, boys love manga, and graphic novel titles. And the Love Line offers romantic stories and characters for everyone. So that's an additional thing to be on the lookout for. And yes, so for more information, check out Tokyo Pop online to be up to date with all those releases, but they're all coming out pretty soon. Yeah, it looks like May 4th, some in June, April, bouncing back. So a little bit this new spring. So yay!
Spring stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and manga is always fun.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. I was about to have a little nostalgia over manga and be like, I remember sitting down in Borders, being able to read it, looking at the ones that are plastic wrapped and going, I'm pretty sure I know why they're plastic wrapped. Yeah, because in American bookstores, if something is plastic wrapped, it's for a reason. In generally speaking, and I could be wrong on this, in Japanese bookstores, everything's plastic wrapped. Like,
I went once and I do not recall specifically, but I would think that'd be nice in terms of like
keeping it
yes,
pristine.
Yes, you want to of course check it out, but I like the idea that nobody else has touched it and it's all clean and not messed up.
And it's entirely possible that I'm wrong on that and misremembering things, or that has changed in the past, however long.
We both went many years ago now.
Yeah, it's been a minute. It has been so many minutes. Speaking of nostalgia, and something I watched in high school that definitely realigned my brain, the end of Evangelion, critically announced follow-up to Hideaki Anno's historic series Neon Genesis Evangelion, in theaters nationwide for the first time for 2 nights only on March 17th and 20th, thanks to GKIDS. Tickets are on sale now, and again, that is happening. Technically, it's next month, but given that next month is in like 4 days, it's happening a couple of weeks from now. So GKIDS, of course, was responsible for the re-release of the original 26-episode season in 2022. And we are getting the theatrical release of the original movie, the original End of Evangelion, for the first time. I do not see in the press release whether it will be dub or sub, and if it's dub, whether it will be a new dub or the original one. I don't have that information in front of me right now. I would imagine that that is something that either GKIDS will release closer to the date, or something that is available in the ticket sales. Like, I know when I went to go see Demon Slayer this weekend, all of the showings had whether it was subbed or dubbed, like right next to the showtime. So yeah, that's gonna be wild, you guys.
And on the big screen, it's like, yep.
And it's definitely going to be one of those, like, you can tell who's seeing it again. You can tell who's seeing it for the first time in years, and you can tell who's seeing it for the first time at all. There are a lot of anime movies that tie into franchises where I'd say, yeah, you can bring your parents, you can bring your friends, you can bring people who are not into it. I wouldn't do that with End of Evangelion.
No,
I just wouldn't.
Too much going on with that show and franchise and everything, and a lot.
Yes, that it's going to be a very powerful experience, especially on the big screen, especially with an audience of fans. Mm-hmm. I would say if you want to get someone into the show, start with one of the newer movies, one of the newer takes on it. Start with the OG anime. I would not throw them into this particular deep end. Again, I watched it in high school. It realigned my brain, and I have not watched it since then, and it's been like 20 years. But I still remember enough to be like, this is not a first experience with Ava sort of thing. This is, you want to bring in someone who has context. Again, we say this every time we talk about an anime movie release. If you are comfortable going into theaters to watch anime, do it. It is so much fun to watch it with fans, you guys. It is such a good time. And again, I would imagine that this one would be particularly powerful, especially, again, if you're like me and haven't seen it in 20 years and need a quick refresher. But yeah, this is exciting. It's, again, March 17th and 20th, and tickets are on sale now. So check that out.
All right. And not in theaters, but we had mentioned this before, but now it's going international. Crunchyroll is reaching even more fans, and they are launching a hub on LG smart TVs, and now this is global. So we were talking about that. It's international. Before we were talking more locally in the States. And their collaboration with LG Electronics to enable greater anime access for LG smart TV users internationally. And it's US international regions. Trying to see if there's any more specific stuff. Yeah. But yeah, a quote we have is, quote, "Our new partnership with LG makes it even easier to be an anime fan," end quote. Said, I apologize if I said the name wrong. Looks like Kyle Roberts, Kaliel. Apologies on that.
I do not know.
I'm like, I don't know. So, and it goes on to say, so Crunchyroll has more than 13 million paying subscribers globally and serves over 200 countries and territories. And so that's pretty awesome of an easier access to a service that we all know and love and use. Yeah. And so that just makes things easier for people to access it. So that's cool if you have a smart TV.
Yeah, if you've got a smart TV, it's so much easier when the apps are on board. It's, again, spending Christmas at my parents' place and being like, I want to catch up on my shows. Crunchyroll is not in this listing.
Y'all, how do I access?
And now it is in this listing. So it's nice to have that convenience. Speaking of Crunchyroll, a quick reminder that the Crunchyroll Anime Awards are this weekend. They are March 2nd and they are in Tokyo. So if you're in Tokyo and watching this, hey, maybe attend the ceremony. It'll be a good time. For everyone else, you are able to watch it on Crunchyroll's official YouTube and Twitch channels. And if you are in India, you can also watch it live on Sony LIV. It starts at 6 p.m. JST, which is a 4 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So if you are in the Americas, it's kind of a late night or an early morning, depending on which coast
totally
you're on.
Depends.
Yeah, but also
in your lifestyle, yeah.
Yeah, VOD will be available on the Crunchyroll channel, on Amazon Freevee, LG channels, Pluto TV, the Roku channel, and Vizio Watch Free Plus, starting on March 16th. So if you don't stay up until late o'clock or get up at early o'clock, which honestly fair. If you're not able to watch this live for whatever reason, a couple of weeks afterwards, there will be VOD available so you can see it. So yeah, if you are doing the thing, if you are in a good time zone to watch it live, Crunchyroll Anime Awards are this Saturday.
Woot!
Yes.
And we've talked about how they have a star-studded lineup of
guests,
and the people presenting, so that will be a very fun time indeed.
That they have a new theme that's been specifically written for them, that they've got it. It sounds like it's going to be a very fun show.
Yes. And speaking of Crunchyroll, and we mentioned Demon Slayer, we got some little bit of Demon Slayer updates for you all.
Yes. Crunchyroll did offer us a screening of the new Demon Slayer movie, as it were, the Hashira training arc movie. And like the previous one, it is the last two episodes of the Swordsmith Village arc. I believe it's remastered, and they definitely redid the sound for surround sound. and an extended cut of the first episode of the Hashira training arc. We're not going to go in depth on the content of that new episode because it's not widely available yet. It technically hasn't aired on TV, so we're not going to do our usual recap of it.
We have another month. It's not until April.
Not till April, a month and some change. So, it'll be a minute. I'm fully expecting that we're going to have a week or two where we are covering 3 shows. And that's just how it is sometimes. But yes, I actually did see it twice this week because I was able to attend this screening at the Sony Animation lot in the Ray Harryhausen Theater, which the surround sound in that one was amazing. Bits in the first 2 episodes where someone's calling for Tanjiro behind him. I was doing this.
Oh, nice.
Damn!
Yes.
Excellent sound remaster. So good. And just the Ray Harryhausen Theater is just this very cute little theater on the lot. It's so nice. So being able, and then they had, of course, swag bags at the end because Crunchyroll knows how to treat people well. And we appreciate that. I for one, appreciate free swag. It was good stuff. I do love that. So thank you, Crunchyroll, for the invitation to the screening. Thank you for, you weren't able to attend. I was able to go with a +1 and then met another friend there. And we just had a night of it and it was a blast. So thank you so much for the invitation. Thank you for having us. And yeah, I went again because my normal +1 was not able that night. So I went again on Saturday. We trundled over to our local AMC. I bought a big old thing of popcorn because this is how I live my life at movies. And it is very fun watching it with fans on the recliners at the fancy AMC. It was just as good the second time around. And for me, the second time around meant that I was sitting there during the new episode and watching her going,
you're like,
I'm rewatching this going, okay, did I miss things? Did I miss what did I miss? What can I see again on a second viewing? But also kind of going, that was the point where I had a full, oh shit moment. Can't wait to see how she reacts. So
nice.
It's a good time. It's I believe it's still having its theatrical run.
Yes.
I believe that it has released in most countries at this point. The initial press release is buried and it would take me a few minutes to dig it up. I think we still have a few countries where it hasn't dropped yet, but I believe it's mostly out for people to see. So again, anime in theaters, highly recommended. Getting to see the newest episode of Demon Slayer, also highly recommended. Had a great time, saw it twice. So
yay!
Thanks again, Crunchyroll. It was a blast.
All right. Transition to a less exciting, but seeing it twice.
Seeing it twice indeed.
Woo! Okay, in case you are unawares, Solo Leveling, their recent episode is 7.5, and if you haven't watched it yet, it is solely a recap of everything up till now. I did watch it because I started and was like, oh, well, maybe it's that thing that sometimes anime does where we get like a little bit of a recap and then we proceed. Oh no, we're still going. There are some scenes that are like, I appreciate when this happens in regular shows where when you're coming back from like a commercial break or something like that, where it's a little bit of a moment of this is what just happened again, but maybe the camera angle is different or it's just a little bit different, but it's still the same scene we already saw, but they're freshening it up. So there were some moments like that in this episode, but overall it was kind of, so why? And let us know your thoughts. How do you feel about recap episodes? Because sometimes they're useful. This feels way too soon to have a recap episode. It's only episode 7. It's not like we've been watching for months or years or something like that where we've forgotten everything. This feels way too soon. I know you had a theory.
I do.
But yeah, let us know your thoughts on recaps. This one I felt as a viewer was unnecessary. I would have rather had no episode, which we've experienced that as well of shows we've covered where they're like, hey, no new episode, production, blah, blah, blah. Whatever,
things occur. Matter. Life happens.
Which is fine. So I just felt it was, or it should have been more obvious because then, okay, let's stick it out and see what's going on. Oh, okay. And it's mostly him like narrating everything up till that point too. And so maybe a little bit different spice of how he's telling you what happened, but for me, you could skip it. Don't worry about it. It's fine.
I mean, for 0.5s, I've been watching Shangri-La Frontier on Crunchyroll, and it also had a recap episode a few weeks ago. About 14 episodes in, right before they went into a 5-part boss fight. So
worked,
as a sort of jumping on point, but it was labeled as episode 14.5. So I think going in, if you see a 0.5 for a show you're watching, generally speaking, it's probably a recap episode.
Yeah.
2 theories for why Solo Leveling had 7 episodes in. For one, it has been pretty lore heavy. We have a lot of characters. A lot has happened. It's a lot to get used to. It's a shonen anime with a little more weight to it.
Sure.
So it does feel very soon, but I can also understand like some people going, I don't have the time to do 7 episodes. It sounds really great, but I just, I can just hop in and, get the crash course, whatever. So this makes me think that either the next 5 episodes are all going to be a big 5-parter, that we're going to have something huge happen, and that's why we're onboarding people right before it. Or, and to me, this is the more likely candidate, the studio's buying time. Something happened in production, something went down, something got delayed, something had to be thrown out and redone.
Yeah.
Whatever it is, it's entirely possible that they put this together because this is VO and then editing clips that for the most part already exist. Maybe, like you said, different camera angles, bit reanimation, but it's still easier to put together a clip show than it is to do an entire new episode. So I'm wondering if the studio isn't buying time and opted to do this as a bring people in, have an onboarding, etc., as opposed to just having a dead air week. I don't know what contracts look like. I don't know what airing schedules look like. I'm not going to pretend to be an expert on that side of things. But to me, this says, especially since it's episode 7.5 out of
and
presumably
it does say that.
12.
So they did let us know. It does say 7.5. But there are some very unhappy people on Twitter. When I was looking up, I was double checking of like, is this a recap? And then apparently a lot of people are not thrilled about it.
I mean, on the one hand,
Giga Jarek in the chat, I forgot recaps like this were still a thing. Yeah.
Yeah. I had a moment watching Shangri-La Frontier when the recap episode went up and I went, oh, I got to wait a week. Damn it. Because
I was so excited. I'm like, I'm ready for my new episodes. Let's sit down. And I'm like,
I understand being disappointed. Like, again, it is taking so much of my self-control not to read ahead in both Dungeon Meshi and Solo Leveling because both of them are so damn good. Like, I get it. I get wanting to put that next installment into your eyeballs. I get being disappointed that you have to wait and that this happened for whatever reason. But also, please chill.
Yeah, no need to be rude at the people and that's not called for. I mean, from the comments I saw, they weren't totally atrocious, but a lot of people were like, we didn't ask for this.
But just because they didn't ask for it doesn't mean it's someone
put a
else.
pin in that for another show we'll talk about later.
It's someone else making decisions.
Yeah.
It is. And these are decisions that we as the audience will likely never have full insight into because they're never released for business practice reasons, NDA reasons, like whatever it is. Keep in mind that whenever you are watching a piece of media, you're getting the tip of the iceberg. The finished project is like this much, and the rest of it is huge and is under like business practices and industry standards and again non-disclosure agreements, which is huge. So this is kind of my Voltron soapbox, as it were. My if the thing you're watching is based on a toy franchise or has a very strongly associated toy franchise, the buck probably doesn't. This is probably Tangent Corner at this point. I'm going to be real.
Fair.
I'm
Go
going to be
for it.
very real. This is my
Proceed.
Voltron soapbox, Transformers soapbox. It is hilariously not my Ninja Turtles soapbox because Nickelodeon owns the rights right now. Like that's a whole different thing, actually. But if whatever media you're consuming is a retread reboot based on whatever, a very popular 80s toy franchise, or has a huge toy franchise like as the backer, the buck probably doesn't stop with the story people or the animation people. The buck probably stops with the people making the toys. So whenever you consume media, especially TV shows and movies, whenever you're looking at something that had a whole bunch of different hands in it, a very large budget, a lot of corporate interests and sponsorships, it is always worth it to step back, to look at who actually owns the rights and to go, who is making these decisions? Because a lot of times we'll sit here and we'll blame the writer. It's okay. Well, the writer does a script. Well, other people take a look at it. There are directorial decisions. There are producers who put their hands on it. There are management at the company, CEOs, board members who aren't involved in the writing process, but they can definitely take a look at the story as it's unfolding and go, nix that. We don't want to deal with it. No, we don't want to do that. No, that doesn't work with the toy line. No, that doesn't, whatever. Like, the buck doesn't necessarily stop where you think it does when it comes to telling a story that has very large names or franchises or budgets behind it. You can't treat it like you would treat a small indie production. You can't treat it like you would a self-published novel or a webcomic. Like, there's so much that goes into it that if you're not in the industry or not in the room where it happens, as it were, you will probably never know. Non-disclosure agreements last a very long time. And for people working on these projects, it is not worth it for them to break NDAs or to say, hey, even after the NDA expires, to go, the buck didn't stop with me, it was this person. Because if you become known as the person who breaks NDAs or who shifts the blame or who whatever, you don't work in the industry again. Nobody wants to work with you. So yeah, just on the fan side of things, as a fan, understand that you do not have the whole story behind the production of your media, that you will probably never have the whole story behind the production of your media, and to give the people who work on it a whole lot of grace, because what they do isn't easy and is often changed and edited by other people.
I would also say, hold on to all of this and everybody rewatch this again later because we're going to talk about another show that people are talking about at the end during recommendations.
That has been my own personal soapbox. I call it the Voltron soapbox for a reason.
Totally fair. I'm just listening going, this applies to other things that people are talking about right now as well.
It applies to so much.
Looking over
so
at the
please
chat.
Keep it in mind.
Yes. Untitled says, yeah, when it comes to recap episodes, I doubt it's ever the writer's decision.
Oh, yeah.
And Giga Derek says, speaking of Voltron, Garfle Warfel Snick is a superior recap episode.
Garfle Warfel Snick is a fucking delight.
That is quite the name.
Yes.
So
it's excellent.
anyway, those I am sharing my grievances here of like, oh, that's a bummer. Mm-hmm. But I'm not going to go tweet at the people who made the show and be like, I'm upset that you did that. No, I'm just going to like tell my friends / you guys, because you're my friends watching here. But, you know, that's the end of it. I watched it. Maybe I didn't pay as much attention because it was all right, I've seen this. But I was just curious to see if there was anything new. But
you can absolutely have opinions. You can absolutely talk with your friends in your circle about it. You don't necessarily need to at people and go, I hated this. Like, that's unhelpful for everyone, y'all. It's just unhelpful.
Speaking of based on toys, Starkiller says there's a new animated Transformers movie coming out later this year with Chris Hemsworth as Optimus.
Wild. Wild.
Well, thank you.
Also, hello.
Hi. Yes, I feel I've not seen this name. So hello.
Yeah, hi.
Welcome. So speaking of new content, though,
Yes.
let's go over to our Delicious in Dungeon. But in a way, it's old stuff because yay for flashbacks and context of characters. Really enjoyed this one of getting to know more about the people we already know about, and we just haven't had much time to get into who they are. Lots of action overall, which was really cool, and not as much about food. In a way,
Sometimes
but
you need
overall, it
that.
was a good one. Yeah, I liked
Yeah.
it. What did you think?
I was not expecting the full flashback, but I love it. I love the
Mhm.
framing device of Marcel narrating the flashback and then at the end just getting me, I don't believe the whole genius thing. Believe
Oh,
what you want.
yeah,
Like
that
it's
was
just
great.
just the sort of bringing the viewer back in like, yeah, we're not just watching this. She's actively telling them about it. Like I
Mhm.
love the framing device. I love the yeah, she complimented you too. And then maybe I
Like,
shouldn't tell him it's his dog
yeah.
impersonation.
But that was cool that he also
So
tied in,
cute.
like, "Oh, you're the person she was talking about,"
Yeah.
and so it's this nice, like, friendship, because it was good character context for, uh, a character we're already following and their relationship to another character, and it's interesting because we see the elf age thing. We also I really did like a little more commentary on the world of the dungeon and
Yeah.
creatures and things that live in it, and the everything has a function.
Mhm.
That thing might be scary, that thing might be dangerous, but it still has a function in this ecosystem, and you shouldn't just kill it because you don't like it.
Yeah. But also talking about how this dungeon builds in the idea of adventurers coming in
Mhm,
into that ecosystem. So, yeah, if you're not careful, you can disrupt things. But
mhm,
the kraken that we killed last episode is going to rebalance the ecosystem in this floor and others.
mhm.
And just the commentary to Senshi about, yeah, you might not want to live here if you don't want to be exposed to magic.
I love that. She's like,
Just
"Guess what? The whole thing's magic." Get the best
man.
side eye, like, "Biatch."
And just seeing this flashback for Marcel and having it start with the, oh, she's a genius, oh, she's a prodigy, she's going to be a court magician, she's going to this and that and the other, and her immediately playing it off as, whatever, I did some reading, my mom's a court magician, so there's some nepotism there. But this makes so much sense with her approach for everything else, with the respect for the book learning and the this is how
Mhm,
we learn to do it in school, with
mhm.
just all of that. Like, okay, you are the book smart kid. This makes it adds context, but also everything that she's been doing up to this point, once you get this context, like, oh, this 100% makes sense. Like,
Oh,
if
yeah.
it's not something you picked up on before, this helps retroactively, like, put everything in place. And if it's something that you were already kind of going, oh yeah, no, she's one of those book smart kids who did really well in school and is really, and it's like, oh yeah, oh absolutely. And pairing her with
Like, I was
Fallen's
yeah, thank you. I was
actual
like, "What's her name?"
practical, yeah, I know, it just takes me a minute sometimes. Pairing it with Fallen's actual practical real world experience, like, yeah, she's the weird kid who runs off and does stuff, but she has actual hands-on experience with how a
Yes.
dungeon works
Yep, she's that
because
one
she's
who
found the one and she's just vibing in
Mhm.
it.
Yep. I like it.
So
She's
the
like, "I just hang out here and write letters and read books."
yeah, and the idea that dungeons are manufactured, that you can put
That was
monsters
interesting.
in them
Yeah.
and that you have to balance them
Mhm.
makes this dungeon very, very interesting because it had been kind of presented as like something that just showed up, some
Yeah.
ancient thing that resurfaced. But it's like, oh no, dungeons as a whole are a known phenomenon. This is not the only one. This is just the famous one.
Mhm.
Like, that's so wild to me. I love that we have opened up the world building a little more for the audience because it's entirely possible that this was built on before, that this was hinted at before, and I just missed it. But
I don't think as thoroughly explained this
yeah,
way, or at least it's kinda like, "Oh, we didn't get you could, like, make it and as a regular common occurrence, because maybe we knew somebody made this one, but
Yes.
not necessarily that, oh, that's the thing, you can make a mini one, you can make big ones, like
Yeah.
any size you want.
It's
Oh,
like
okay.
the Mad Mage made this dungeon, but dungeon making is like a thing, an industry, something that's taught in magic school, which I think is an aspect that we didn't really have beforehand.
I'm
So
yelling
that,
at my coworker.
yeah,
My dog is barking.
yeah.
Speaking of ecosystems being disturbed, uh, but yeah,
Laios. Glad he's doing better.
yes, I like that we see at the
Nerd.
beginning, like he's fine. It just takes him a little bit of time to get better, which I'm
Yeah.
glad that was quick. And then that was interesting how to heal Marcel later too, because she has her injuries. Like, what can you give her? And as someone who's donated blood, and she lost blood of, you want to replenish that iron. You want something like really nutrient dense. But watching all the grilled meat, I agree. I'd be like, can I get some other ones too, please?
Oh, yeah, no, I'm just sitting here going, guys, this is rude.
It was so rude.
I
was like, come
understand that
on,
she
share.
needs the liver, but also like you're putting short ribs in front of her and then not allowing, as someone who is a short ribs fiend, as someone who makes special trips to Guildhall when they very, very rarely put short ribs on the menu because it's phenomenal. Like, y'all, you cannot put short ribs in front of me in a communal situation, then be like, everyone else can have some, but not you. It's like, no, stop. Ugh. I feel for her though. She's had a hell of an episode.
Yes. Did you? I mean, I'm not really familiar with the D&D and the lore and some of this. The creatures and things seem to be referenced. Had you ever heard of that water thing before?
Nope. That's again, some of the ways that a lot of monsters are done in Dungeon Meshi is different from how they're executed in other media and common folklore.
Yeah.
Like, the stories change. Again, we look at the Kelpie from last episode. That's a very obvious fish horse, as opposed to your Irish bog version, which is a beautiful horse that only becomes a monster once it's too late for you. So, yeah, different execution, different things. I think what's surprising me the most is that rest doesn't restore mana.
Yeah,
is that they're still going
like, what
like
does
she
she
stopped
do
the
then?
bleeding, she can rest and recover, but it doesn't restore mana, and all of their restorative herbs were used earlier on when they roasted the basilisk, and just given Senshi grief over that, and I stand by my decision. Like, Senshi at the beginning is presented as this worldly person who knows more about this cooking thing, who knows more about the dungeon,
Food
and
genius.
yeah, and to an extent he is in that specific area. But I do appreciate that, like, we've started with that, and as it goes on, we have revealed the flaws, we have revealed the stubborn mindset, and here are his shortcomings, here is where he does not see, where he's too stubborn to change things, where I like that we're not just keeping him on a pedestal the entire time because he's the master chef, as it were. I like that we have him as a person and that he can be wrong and we understand where he's coming from and why he thinks this. In the same breath, we go, you done fucked up. So I like this.
And
I
he's
like how this
on
anime
his
handles
accountability.
things.
He's a little bit like, yeah, I know. Or like, me.
Yeah. Or just that I stand by my decisions. Like, no, it was a bad decision, but you are also Mr. Does not like or trust magic, so of course you'd use up the magic restoring herbs, because why would you need them? And here we are, 4 floors down, going, God damn it.
Yep.
It does look like we're getting some former party members back.
Yeah.
Maybe.
And
kinda.
I appreciate also the humor and realistic kind of vibe of a group dynamic of Marcel going, it was nice when we had other women in the group too, and she wasn't just the odd one out.
Yeah.
That's kind of an interesting commentary to add, because that's true. I mean, obviously you can have groups of any blend of whoever, but it's nice when there's people like you, when there's like grooming things where you don't want to make the others feel uncomfortable and like you all have your own space. But I thought that was interesting to weave into, again, adding like real world situations in a way.
Yeah.
And
Also in fiction, it's nice to have more than one of this type of character. So, you know, we're really bad about like the 5-man band has one female character or there's one overall, or that you need more, so you're not forcing that this one particular person to be everything for everyone that they represent. So you can have more than just girl. So you can have different kinds of women. So you can have different, and everyone's allowed to be flawed, and everyone like, yeah, moving away from the we have one woman and she has to be all of the women for everyone watching this, but we can have all sorts of different men. We can have all sorts of different guy characters. Who care? That's the default. That's the default. I'm glad we're moving away from that. I'm glad that we are conscientiously moving away from that.
And is the manga creator a woman or no?
I think so.
I think so.
She's a woman. I believe she's a woman, and I believe she also deliberately ended her manga before Baldur's Gate 3 came out. Specifically. Like, it's over, it's done, now I can play Baldur's Gate. Like, I appreciate the hell out of you. And for those who may not know, Baldur's Gate is Dungeons and Dragons based. D&D lore, mechanics, everything. So
with a lot of spice, apparently.
Oh my god, yes. I mean,
I haven't played it, but I've seen all the posts and memes and jokes and clips.
Oh yeah. So yeah, there's plenty of, I hesitate to call it dating sim because it is romance. It's building relationships with the different characters. And if you go for a romantic bent, awesome. And if you choose not to do that, also awesome. Yeah, there's Baldur's Gate definitely makes some very fun decisions, and if you know, you know. And again, if you've played in a long-running D&D party, odds are a player character has either fallen in love with another player character or with an NPC or both. Relationships. Yeah. Relationships with people.
Yep.
God knows that my character is definitely dating an NPC. So that is how D&D campaigns do sometimes. Sometimes you wind up in lesbians with a very cute tiefling whose boss is an archfey. The scariest shovel talk known to man. Anyway.
Was there anything else that stood out to you in the episode? I feel we kind of covered it. If those watching, anything else that stood out to you, please let us know down below.
Again, it's taking all of my patience not to just sit down and mainline the manga. It's like 97 chapters or something like that. And I'm not doing it because we're covering it. And I'm trying to be cool about that. But like, every time something crosses my various social medias that's like, read Dungeon Meshi, I'm like, there's a reason I'm not doing
You're like,
that
yet.
I'm trying to behave.
Yeah.
It's not easy behaving.
No, it's hard. Yeah.
It's hard. That's hard. We're both sitting here like, the content is there. I can have the next installment. But I'm being patient.
Okay.
We do our best.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Alrighty. So then I think now it's time for us to move on to our last segment of things and stuff. Both.
Stuff and things. Things and stuff.
And things, yes. That you should check out. So this is books, movies, shows, whatever we've been watching, games to play, whatever that we're recommending to you. And let us know anything that you're consuming, media content, whatever wise, and you think people should check out. A couple... so actually, there we go. We'll lead from old, revisit, and new. So old saw a revisiting of Amelie in theaters, which was really fun and delightful. And if you've never seen it, one, absolutely go see it. It is a French film. It's magical realism where it is real world stuff, but there's things that are very whimsical and little extra special going on, and it's so nice. It's always good to revisit old films so that you're like, oh, this is still good. Okay, nothing's problematic that you're concerned about later, because look, your memory sometimes has rose-colored glasses. But I was like, no, everything. I took my mom, I took my friend, and it's cute because it is very French. There's a bit of nudity and sex stuff, and my mom really liked it, and she did have the comment like, it's very French. And my
I
mom's a
watched
little
it
more
in
on the
French
conservative
class in
side,
high
so.
school.
Oh, that would be fun.
I did. There were permission slips involved because of
Ah,
that,
yeah.
but it's
Like, it's
such an
not
excellent film.
graphic, but
No.
it's generally actually a lot of comedic moments that the nudity's in there, or it's kinda like whatever.
Yeah,
But that's fun that'd be fun in French class. That'd be cool.
and it is
But
an excellent movie. It's so sweet.
yes, it's just delightful. Wonderful movie. So that's the old one. And then revisiting one is the thing that I was saying, put a pin in that is coming back to. I started Avatar. I watched the first episode of the live action series. I will start with I watched the animated series not right when it came out per se. So I do not have that like same attachment. I know a lot of people did. I enjoyed it. I think it's excellent animated series. Everybody should go watch it. It's great, great show. Korra is also great too. I didn't hate the first episode. I liked it. I want to see more. I did notice I wasn't as excited or wowed as I was with like One Piece. Like One Piece, I was like, this is amazing. And it is true, I'm not as familiar with One Piece material, but so far I feel like they approached that one better. But I'm willing to check out the rest of Avatar. And it is that tangent corner sidebar. I roll my eyes of live action and animation are different, and we don't necessarily want a carbon copy of the same thing because then why? But yes, I've seen a lot of dialogue online of people loving it, hating it, and some people it's like unnecessary hate that you're like, you're allowed to dislike it, but no need to be mean.
Yeah, God, yeah. I've seen some very, very mixed reviews.
Yeah, all over the board.
And it all over the place, which is
Yeah.
wild because usually they'll swing one way or another. But
yeah.
I find it interesting. And one of the more interesting takes I saw was someone going, why is the goal for every animated thing to have a live action adaptation? Like, why is that seen as the better or more serious medium? They do different things. And someone else going, no more live action adaptation of anime. Animated adaptations of live action things. Animated Casablanca. Animated Godfather. Give me that. I'm like, yes, actually.
What?
Yes. I might actually watch The Godfather if it were animated.
Yeah. So let us know your thoughts if you've watched these. But again, no need to be mean.
No.
Yeah.
And there is such a thing as medium preference, as I have just displayed.
Absolutely. It totally, that's fine.
Yeah. But there's understanding that there's also a difference between preference and fact.
Mm-hmm.
And that it's very easy to let one look a lot like the other when they are not in any capacity the same.
Yeah. So overall, I would say I'm liking it so far. I will probably watch the rest of it, and I'll let you know how I think of it at the end. I'm glad to know they don't actually get really that far in the series because I was kind of curious of like how much are we getting, because that's sometimes a problem with any adaptation is you don't get enough. So it sounds like they're taking their time with it, which is cool. I probably would rather that, but it is it's gonna be a long time till we get more. And then the third thing I was going to say of watching is a new one, not new-ish. Took me a while to get to it. Nimona, which is on Netflix.
Yes.
So good. If you haven't seen it, I feel like for maybe some people like me, like you saw it on there, just haven't had time to get to it, whatever. It's excellent film. It is, again, speaking of, in the world of animation. So animated, it is medieval and futuristic. I did not know that. I thought that was such a cool combo. And there are some things in this movie that I feel a lot of grown-ups need to revisit and children should learn from the first place. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it's even more relevant today as all current things in the world are happening too. And it is, the idea is you can't and shouldn't just distrust the other because they're different from you, and a lot more. But I do highly recommend it. It's also very funny. I really enjoyed the humor in it. So definitely go check out Nimona. It's over on Netflix. And that one I was pleasantly surprised. Just hadn't gotten to it. There's no reason I didn't see it before, but I was like, oh, this was so good. So.
Also, it's queer as hell.
Yes.
It is queer as hell. It is essentially at this point an indie production.
Hmm.
because Disney acquired Blue Sky and then got Nimona as part of it and shelved it. And I cannot remember who bought it, but it is essentially its own thing at this point and nominated for Best Picture.
Well,
I
I would
believe it
also.
is also
Mm.
currently legally available on YouTube as a for your consideration thing for, I
Ah.
want to say it's going down soon within the next couple of days. But if you don't have a Netflix account, it is officially on YouTube for a very limited time. I think it is as part of a for your consideration thing.
Building on / adjacent to the queerness of it, I would say I liked it's refreshing that it is.
Yeah.
Like it's just normal.
Yeah.
And which is how it should be. It's not anything where they're like, this is how things should be, or blah, or anything where it's pushing. It just is. And it's
Yeah.
like anybody like I like that right away. I called it too. I was like, oh, he likes him. And I'm like, yes, they're going that direction because you don't know right away. And then you're like, all right. So it's so cute. It's
yeah.
actually then current events, seen the thing. It's a love story. It doesn't necessarily relate to who the love story is between. That was a SAG Awards speech too. If you haven't heard about that yet, go check that out because that's related to The Last of Us. So it's a love story. Yes. So I like that. Also, I'm looking over the chat, rewinding a moment here.
Mhm.
Untitled says, I've only seen the first episode, referring back to Avatar. Opinion so far is okay. Same. I was like, I'm enjoying it. Yep. And then I didn't hate it, didn't love it, but I am curious to see the rest of how the season is. Yeah, same. Rest of the season. And Gigaderic says, I shall once again recommend Farron. It's so wonderful. Yes. That is also on
I'm not in a fit state. I'm not in a fit state to hurt myself. So I'm not watching Frieren yet.
Yeah.
But it is on my list. It's just one of those like, I think I need to be prepared for that one. Not this month. This month has not lent itself to yeah.
Well, there was my multitude of recommendations. So
yes.
What about you?
I will once again say watch Shangri-La Frontier. I did catch up. It's so good. It's so good. It is so damn much fun. The battles are excellent. The Sakuga is so good. Again, it has a fantastic sense of humor. I love the characters. Like, it's just fun. And you get a lot of the high action shonen battle anime stakes, but without it being actual stakes. Like, they're playing a video game. So you do get the stakes of, are they going to win this battle? Here's the strategy. Here's how it plays out. Like, just watching it go down. Again, we just got out of a 5-part boss fight, which was incredible to watch. And I'm kind of glad that I hadn't caught up at that point because I was able to watch 4 parts of it back to back to back to back. And I would have gone nuts. Even just waiting for the last bit, I was sitting here going, is it next week? It's a Sunday drop. Is it Sunday yet? Yeah, so, yeah. But it's also like, they're playing a video game. We're not as worried about, like, the failure state is not the end of the world. Mm-hmm. So, I cannot recommend it enough. I was not expecting to watch the anime with the weird bird head guy, and now I can't put it down. It's so good. Speaking of things that I love and can't put down, one of my favorite trashy cooking shows is back. I call almost all of my reality TV trashy. It truly isn't, but we have fun here. Next Level Chef, another Gordon Ramsay vehicle with the extra bits of there's 3 different kitchens and 3 varying levels of quality. It's divided into teams. It's they have social media chefs, home chefs, and professionals all competing in the same space. And not divided by profession or anything. It's 3 different judges, 3 different well-known chefs who are all like, no, this is my team that I've assembled, and we're competing against each other. So I love it for the weird mechanics. I love it for the fact that, for the most part, it is individual competition, but teams will help, like members of a team will help one another out. Mm-hmm. The elimination cook-offs, the rest of the teams are, supporting their members who are in elimination and trying to help them out. Like, it's fun. It's a lot of fun to watch. And if you're like, well, I don't like Gordon Ramsay, the Hell's Kitchen and the screaming, it's not a screaming show. It's not an angry Gordon Ramsay show. It's just very fun to watch this play out. We're on season 3. It's currently airing. I didn't realize that until I saw a billboard this morning and went, "What?" So it's back. I'm happy. It's on Hulu. I believe it's a Thursday night air, and then the episodes drop the next day. We are 5 episodes into this season already, and I'm just having a grand old time and have already picked several favorites. As you do when you're watching a long-running competition show. You go, that one, and hope they make it through. So yeah, again, I am not in a place where I am willing to emotionally hurt myself, and so I am watching the anime about the video games and the cooking competition show I like. We're just rolling here.
Oh, fair. I was getting ready for Amelie, and I was listening to the soundtrack, and it made me cry. And I'm like, I don't know why I'm crying. It's just this good memories, and this was such a I was like,
Yep.
Calm down.
Yep.
Feel the feels, but it's okay.
Oh yeah.
Yes. Well, thank you everybody for tuning in for Nighttime at the Nerd Bar. If you've watched this later, comment down below your thoughts on the stuff we've talked about. And if you joined us live, awesome, welcome, and happy to have you all here. And let's see where we can find each other to keep the discussion going.
Yeah. Usually you throw it to me, so I'm just like, I'm waiting for my cue. Okay.
So where can they find you, Katie?
The largest of Monday energy, I swear, somewhere in the stratosphere. That's where the brain is. You can find me all over the social medias, as well as on YouTube and Twitch at Kiaxet. That is Kiaxet. I am also a co-host on Silver Screams on YouTube. It is my roommates and I horror-themed channel. We have fun here, you guys. Both channels are on something of a hiatus because life insists upon occurring. And so the energy has to go elsewhere sometimes. But the backlogs are large. And the horror channel is especially good for, would you like to see Katie jump out of her skin? The jump scares in some of those horror trailers, I swear to God. So yeah, again, we have fun here.
Yeah. And y'all can find me online. There we go. Carrie D Lane. That's Karidlane. And here on the Fanversation channel, you can find there's a new playlist for the Santa Barbara International Film Festival. I spoke with Paul Giamatti, Jeffrey Wright, and other filmmakers who were in attendance. So indie filmmakers. And so if you're into indie filmmaking, it's cool to hear their perspectives and some of their process and journey and how they overcame challenges. So check that out here on the Fanversation channel. It's the playlist. It says Santa Barbara International Film Festival, as well as other interviews. If you've missed it, there's a solo leveling interview here as well. And we have a whole playlist in with voice actors too. Man, that Monday energy. I can't get the words and things.
We got it. We're doing it. We're good.
And you can make sure you are subscribed to the Fanversation channel. You can check we're on all the social medias there too, as well as our own pages. And where'd it go? There you go. NTATNB on Twitter. So appreciate everybody reaching out on the social medias as well. And I think those are it for my new things, those interviews. So yeah, just stay tuned. There's if you're subscribed here and have that notification bell, you'll be up to date when those videos are here. So thank you everybody for tuning in, and we'll see you next week. Bye.